Hello everyone, welcome to the Belt and Road Face-to-Face.
If the Chinese companies incorporate and open up their production zones in Rashakai for these specific areas, I think there is a huge demand.
I think first and foremost, because I have some friend who is in the Chinese consulting companies who works on this kind of issues, and he mentioned that textile industry, we should not forget it.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Belt and Road Face-to-Face. Our program is co-produced by China Economic Net and Wash News Television. I'm Wang Xiaotong from China Economic Net. Today I'm pleased to be joined in our studio by Wang Shida, a social aid research professor of China Institute of Contemporary International Relations. And we also have Dr. Sajid Khurshid from Pakistan, who is department head at the Canadian International School of Beijing and visiting faculty at Tsinghua University. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Let's enter the first part, hotspot. An agreement on the development of Rashakai Special Economic Zone, the first special economic zone under the framework of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, was inked in mid-September. Prime Minister Imran Khan said the development of Rashakai SEZ under CPEC will help boost the industrialization of KP province and create job opportunities in the country. He added the completion of this SEZ will promote ease of doing business in the country and facilitate the local and foreign investors. With the development of the Rashakai Special Economic Zone and others of this kind, Pakistan can attract Chinese industries and benefit from it. How will this special economic zone influence KP people's livelihood?
Ms. Chow, like everybody knows, the CPEC is mainly a game changer for this entire region, especially for Pakistan in this area. And initially, at the starting of the CPEC projects, 37 special economic zones are proposed, and 9 of them they have been selected and established. And that's why the agreement was between the China Road and Bridge Corporation and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was signed at the beginning at the Rashakai in KPK. If you're talking about the KPK is like the third largest province in terms of population in Pakistan and the third largest province in economy. And KPK contributes 10.5% in the national GDP. And 78% of the total marble production all comes from the KPK. And it's the largest producing wood and tobacco as well. So Rashakai is one of the part of the KPK. And they are very specialized in terms of the cotton, the textile, knitting, pharmaceutical, beverages, steel, and various other products. So Imran Khan's vision is like not only to establish the 9 special economic zones, it's all around Pakistan and all provinces of Pakistan, including the federal area. The aim was that to establish the local community welfare and their lifestyle. So definitely they provide lots of opportunities for them people to work on, and not only they can develop their own lifestyle, the areas of the Rashakai in fact in KPK, but they also develop the economic of Pakistan. And they provide almost 1,000 acres of land in Rashakai for the special economic zone, and the labor in Pakistan is very cheap. And that's why if the Chinese companies incorporate and open up their production zones in Rashakai for these specific areas, I think there is a huge demand, and they also provide 200,000 people the job opportunities. So it's really a great incentive for the Rashakai region in fact, and the KPK and for the entire Pakistan community.
Yes, Mr. Wang.
Definitely, I think the Rashakai Special Economic Zone is not only good for the economic development, but also for good for the local people's livelihood. First and foremost, it is, like Mr. Khurshid mentioned, it is about employment. We know that Pakistan has a huge population, especially the very rich young labor forces, but it's still far from the employment. What a special economic zone means? That means more and more factories will be established in the SEZ. More factory means there will be more jobs and more employment. Second issue is it is poverty alleviation. Frankly speaking, now China is doing this job of poverty alleviation. Other developing countries, including Pakistan, also have this kind of task. You see that like the Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, mentioned in his 2018 campaign vote, he said that yes, also some kind of poverty alleviation slogans. So that I think if we have more jobs, if one family at least have one adult who can work in a factory or work in the SEZ, that means maybe the poverty alleviation will be more and more easier for the family. I think that is all very important. Third, I think that is also about the export of Pakistan. We all know that now, recently, I think the two countries, I mean Pakistan and China, talk a lot about the trade imbalance, frankly speaking. Why? I think partly because of some kind of regulation or system arrangement, but I think another reason is that up till now, Pakistan cannot provide too much product that needed in China. So that if we have SEZ, that means Pakistan can export more product to China. That also good for the local people's livelihood. That's my main point.
Yes. What preferential policies had this SEZ issued to attract more enterprises enter this SEZ?
In fact, we have two different types of benefits, advantages. The first one is direct investments, and the direct benefits including, like we are getting lots of foreign exchange earning, because the products that we are producing locally, not only like we need to consume in the country, we can also export to China and the rest of the world and earn lots of foreign revenues. The second main direct benefit is the foreign investments. The Imran Khan's government vision is to invite as much as possible the foreign investments. I know there are so many Chinese people, they love to invest in Pakistan in agriculture, in energy sectors, and a lot of. The third one is it also increase the government revenues and the economic growth, because if we have the foreign investments come into Pakistan, that really provides a lot of benefits, the economic growth. Among the indirect benefits, we have skill upgradation. Like if the Chinese and the Pakistani enterprises, they work together on a certain products under the title I always encourage called Made in CPEC, and they export to the rest of the world, that's really helpful. Like the packaging, for example, in order to export the mangoes, the sugar, and all these kind of, like we have lots of exporting products, but we need a proper packaging for the export quality. Also, the technology transfer to China can help Pakistan to transfer the technology, and we have resources, but we need technology, the latest methodologies for manufacturing. And export diversification, we can find out the new markets for the products. Like recently, Ministry of Science and Technology, they have created the personal protective equipments for the COVID, and we are not only using into the country, we are even exporting to some of the countries. So similarly, enhancing trade and efficiency of domestic firms. So these are some kind of the major benefits, the advantages that we are getting out of these potential policies by the government itself.
Yes. What industries does Pakistan need to improve at the current stage, as you see, Dr. Sajid?
The industries mainly that we need to work on, the fuel extraction industry. As I mentioned, that we have like lots of natural resources, but we don't have that much of technology that is needed to extract those minerals and reserves that we have. Similarly, we have heavy manufacturing industry. There's a huge potential of using the heavy mechanical industries in Pakistan. So we need such kind of thing to introduce. And automotive industry, like I mentioned, like we have few brands are there, but we still need to open more Chinese brands. They are very elegant Chinese brand. They are in automobile industry. They are in China, so they can operate their operations in Pakistan and they can compete the rest of the market. There's a huge market of there. Of course, like the construction of infrastructure, I think the best example I always quote, wherever you want to do establish a certain economic zones, just establish the infrastructure, the airports, the railroads, like the dry ports or seaports, whatever we have, automatically the business activity starts there. And transfer of technology, energy and gas industries, that has to be worked a lot. I always quote the examples of the Chinese that instead of looking for the big dams, we need to concentrate on the small dams. The purpose of the small dams is to utilize the resources of their local communities, and gradually they can overcome the problem of an energy shortage. So these are, I think, personally believe that these things that we really needed to work on with the collaboration of the Chinese enterprises.
Thank you. Mr. Wang, do you think among this industry, do you think that China has advantages?
Talk about the industrial cooperation between China and Pakistan. In, I think, most of the sectors, I think there is great potential for our future cooperation. First and foremost, because I have some friend who is in the Chinese consulting companies who works on this kind of issues, and he mentioned that textile industry, we should not forget it, because textile industry already, although it is a traditional industry of Pakistan, but it is still very important. Talk about the export, talk about its ratio in Pakistan, the industrial GDP, very important. And you see China's textile factories also have its own strong advantage, like the advanced technology and management skills. So we still have a lot of potential. Besides textile, I think if we look a little bit further, we look at the bigger picture. I mean, for the industrialization of Pakistan, I think the equipment manufacturing should be more important, because I think we can call it the heavy industry. The heavy industry lays the solid basis for the light industry like textile. But I should point out that if we want to develop this kind of heavy industry, if we only rely on the social investment of private entrepreneurs, we will face a lot of problems, because it is very simple reason, because if we develop the heavy industries, really huge investment, and it take a long time to take your money back. So that the government, I mean that both government of Pakistan and China should give some kind of preferential policies to encourage the peoples or entrepreneurs to invest in and continue their job in the heavy industry, like the equipment manufacturing. I think in the past several years, if we talk about a little bit experience that China can share, maybe the digital financial service, especially the blockchain technology.
I think we need to establish more financial services between Pakistan and China, and both Beijing and Islamabad.
These two countries, Pakistan and China, have a lot of similarities. We both have huge populations.
So we need to make a kind of a mechanism in terms of B2B that ease of transmission of the funds from either side.
Now let's enter the second part figure. Remittances sent by overseas Pakistanis reached $2.095 billion during August 2020, showing a 24.4% increase year-on-year, according to the State Bank of Pakistan statistics. This also means the foreign remittances remained above $2 billion for the third month in a row this year. During June, July, and August, remittances reached an unprecedented level of $7.3 billion, 37.2% higher than the same period of last year, according to the SBP. What caused the surge in Pakistan's overseas remittances?
That's true. That's absolutely right. And the main reason behind it is the government policies. And the State Bank, according to the statements, mentioned that the reasons because of these increase of remittances, that ease of lockdown in different countries, especially like in US, in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, and other countries, and also the people like they wanted to support their families back home, so that's a huge amount of the money that they transferred, in fact. And the most commonly used payment systems that the people they are using, transferring money back home, is through the central banks, as well as the Union Pay, Western Union, in fact. And among all of these remittances, we have the biggest one, which is $619.4 million from Saudi Arabia. We have $452 million from US and 431.7 million from UAE and from UK 401 million. These are basically the big stakeholders that is really contributing. The Pakistani people who are working in those countries, sending a big amount of remittances in Pakistan, and that really helps to boost the foreign reserves in the central bank. So I think that's really a good gesture, and in the past few months that this figure is increasing continuously, and it's a positive sign for the Pakistan's national as well as the foreign remittances.
Thank you, Mr. Wang.
The figure is very good, optimistic. The reasons I think are simple for me. I think the first reason, I think maybe not such good news, but still good news, because you see that the epidemic is so huge all around the country, like you mentioned, US, UAE, Middle East countries, because you see that the economy goes down, the job opportunities got decreased. So I think some overseas Pakistan workers just go back home. When they go back home, they take their savings. But that is not the most important reason. I think another important reason, like Mr. Khurshid already mentioned, is that because you see the lockdown measures, all the countries that take out these kind of lockdown measures, the cancel the bans on international flight, so that the people rely on the informal way of sending back money, got a lot of restrictions. So they need to go back to the normal channels, like digital channels, so that we can see that there is a surge of this kind of remittance. Another issue, last but not least, I think that is because of the epidemic, I think less expenditure on the Hajj pilgrimage, this kind of religious spendings, which is I think this kind of phenomena will last for in the coming months. It's a good news, frankly speaking, good news for the economy of Pakistan.
Thank you. And Dr. Sajid, we've learned that some Chinese entrepreneurs in Pakistan meet difficulties when sending money from Pakistan to China. Any suggestions?
Yes, I heard also about this. And not only for the Chinese companies, even for some Pakistani students, those who are studying in China, and the parents wanted to send the money for their tuition fee and all this stuff. I think in Pakistan, in Islamabad and other cities, we have like the ICBC and Bank of China branches. And similarly in Beijing here, we have 5 Pakistani bank license offices, not branches. They cannot do here in Beijing the commercial transactions. But in Pakistan, ICBC and Bank of China, those branches are allowed to make transactions. So if those Chinese companies, they want to send money to China, they have accounts in China as well. They can use a Union Pay card, they can use the ATMs. And if we use the Chinese bank's Union Pay card in Pakistan, ICBC works very well. We can withdraw the money in Pakistan by using ICBC bank in here. So the point is, like, because they need to follow the rules, that's of course, like we follow the rules here. So the Chinese company, they need to follow the state bank rules in there. So, but I think this should be easy for both sides. Pakistani banks and the Chinese bank which are operating in Pakistan, they can do all of these transactions. I remember some of the students, they have deposited their fee through their banks to the bank's account in the universities in Beijing. So they are there, but I think these procedures should be easy for everybody and it should be open to everyone so they can transfer their amounts easily in both sides.
Yes. Mr. Wang, what experience can China offer in financial services, cross-border financial services?
I think in the past several years, if we talk about a little bit the experience that China can share, maybe the digital financial service, especially the blockchain technology. You see that I think these two countries, Pakistan and China, have a lot of similarities. We both have huge populations, and we both have a relatively complete telecommunication infrastructure. And I think we also both have a high penetration of smartphones, especially among the young people. This kind of element, I think, lays a solid foundation for the digital financial services. For example, China, I think, Xiaotong, me, or other, I think we all use our, mobile wallet payment. If we use this kind of things, I think they will greatly increase the efficiency. Not only, B2C, but also B2B model. So that I think that's a great potential. I would like also want to emphasize blockchain technology. You see that I think in the past several years, especially in the past 5 years, the blockchain technology really, I think, is becoming more and more important. It is said that, just now we talked about the remittance. Yeah. It is that nowadays, if we use a model of blockchain technology, it is said that all the participating institutions can process, can verify all these kind of transporter money transfer or remittance transfer at the same time, a few seconds. So that I think in the future that may be very important for China and Pakistan to consider how to use this kind of new technology.
We need to establish more financial services between Pakistan and China, and both Beijing and Islamabad, they can work together in order to strengthen, because there are lots of companies working both in China, Pakistani companies, as well as the Chinese companies in Pakistan. So we need to make a kind of a mechanism in terms of B2B that ease of transmission of the funds from either side. I would suggest it could be like, it's better like both countries deal with one currency instead of the exchange rates and all these kind of things would be a problem. So RMB is going to be like a modernized and internationalized currencies in the near future. So that would be, I think it's one of the suggestions and can really give benefit for both the entrepreneurs in the countries. And they have specialized in film, drama, music, or all these kind of things. And they come up and they establish their own academies, but those are the basis of their own. There is no big involvement of the government sectors, in fact.
China and Pakistan, we also have a lot of good place to visit, and how could we design this kind of product with high creativity that maybe decide the future's cooperation between these two countries.
Now let's enter the third part, culture. Designers are constantly trying to combine fashion concepts with traditional Chinese culture. In this year's Beijing Fashion Week, creative cultural products such as Wang Zhihe soybean sauce tycoon t-shirts, hats printed with sesame paste themes, have whipped up discussions in China. Dr. Sajid, has Pakistan made attempts in creative cultural products?
Yes, we do have, but not that much level, because the reason is that the creative opportunities in the creative industries, we are lacking of the institutions. In Pakistan, culture and creative industry contributes almost $1.5 billion into the economy. But I know some people, they graduated from abroad, from other countries, and they have specialized in film, drama, music, or all these kind of things. And they come up and they establish their own academies, but those are the basis of their own. There is no big involvement of the government sectors, in fact. But I would suggest, like, if it is going to be like a national music or national film university, for example, where all type of the courses will be teach to those people, those who are interested in hosting the programs, in competing in acting and music and drama and all of these, there's a huge potential.
Mr. Wang, is there any Pakistani cultural creative product or attempt impressed you a lot?
A symbol in Karachi that a tomb for the Qaeda. Yes, it's a memorial gift. It's kind of really, you see, on the one hand, because the tomb have a very high position in Pakistan people. The second is because the design is very, very good. Talk about design, really, I think both China and Pakistan have a lot of to explore. Because if the same product, maybe the produce cost almost the same, but if we give the product very good, meaningful design, I think the price maybe increase several times. The design means the shape, the color, the package, even the brand designing, especially brand designing. You see that. This kind of issues, maybe frank speaking, like my friend Mr. Khurshid mentioned, if we want a very high level or even world level design, first we have to have a high level or world level institution who can teach this kind of skill to the people. If we do not have this kind of either university or vocational schools, how could we imagine that we can have the top level or world level designers?
In addition to cultural creative attempts, how can the enterprises improve the added value of their products?
Yes, that's the most important point, because as much as no doubt we have a culture, we have like very good products, but in order to market those products internationally, we must have to add those important certain values. The most important one is the quality, the better quality. As we discussed, like every country, every manufacturers, they have like export quality and the local quality. And there is a significant difference between the export quality products, of course. If it is a minute difference or defect, they cannot export that. That's they use in the local markets. Like here in China, in Beijing, you just go lots of outlets here. All those outlets, they're selling those products which are have very minute defect, but we can't identify, but that's excluded from that. Similarly, added value features that including into your product and features, services that differentiate your product with other countries' product, like truck, art, culture, I just explained. Similarly, the faster, the better. If you got a certain demand of a certain product, we must need to finish that order on time, including shipping, the packaging, and the quality, of course. If you delay those things, we might lose the customers, of course. So improving the product design and packaging is really, really important. There is a time of the innovation. I teach to my students, like try to create the product which is innovative and creative, because the products that we are creating for any part of the world, that has to meet the certain customer needs and wants. And if we added those points and values into it, there's no question, there's no doubt that the product should be 100% successful in the market.
Besides what we already discussed, I think creativity is also very important. Frank speaking, I think nowadays, whether the entrepreneur or product can be successful in the market, I think creativity become more and more important issues. Creativity means that whether you can grasp the target consumer's psychological need, because like we already talked about the cultural creative product, yes, how could we design a gift that really reflect the symbol, the meaning, the core meaning of this place, so that when the tourists go back home, he can still remember what he see in this kind of place of historic interest. I think the creativity means a lot. China and Pakistan, we also have a lot of good place to visit, and how could we design this kind of product with high creativity that maybe decide the future's cooperation between these two countries.
Dr. Sajid, how can China and Pakistan to improve the cooperation on this aspect and improve the competitiveness of Pakistani exports goods?
Some expertise the Chinese, they have, the manufacturers. They have expertise in certain technologies and products. Similarly, we do have some expertise in Pakistan. So this can be done through competitive advantage. If we send those products which are really good in China and having a huge demand in Pakistan, and similarly vice versa, the Pakistani products comes here. So I think there is a huge potential. So the competitive advantage, like we are using technology from here, we're using the land and the labor in Pakistan. Similarly, the Pakistani product, like the last couple of weeks, there was a mango shipment, the second mango shipment from Pakistan to China. Now the Chinese people, now they know the taste of the Pakistani mango, which is one of the best mangoes in the world. That's, I mean, we have almost more than 300 types. The thing is that we need to create awareness among Chinese people. There's so many things that we have which is really, really good, but we need to create awareness, like Pakistani pink salt, for example, which is famous all around the world, and it's very common in China, but the biggest market for the Pakistani pink salt is for the foreign people in Beijing and Shanghai. The Chinese people, they don't know exactly the importance of the pink salt. And if they know it, there's a huge demand, there's a huge market for that. So the thing is, that's why I always encourage, as I mentioned, if we take both the comparative advantage of the country and we make a certain single product with the title of this made in CPEC and export the entire rest of the world, there's a huge potential into that.
Yes. Mr. Wang.
I think two elements. The first element is the product. The second element is channel. Yes, product, I think, as we already discussed quite a lot up till now, you see, it's why we are talking about the more competitive product from Pakistan. Maybe that means that up till now, the competitiveness is not so high. Why? I think that is still related to the industry. If Pakistan can realize industrialization through the cooperation, including the project of CPEC, I think definitely we will have a more and more competitive, international competitive Pakistan product. That is very simple logics. The second element is channel, because our two countries will have different advantages. Talk about channel. China's market influence in Southeast Asia is bigger, frankly speaking, while Pakistan really have a very special channel to Middle East countries, especially this kind of halal product, halal food, this kind of product. So if this kind of two countries in the future, with the development of more SEZs under the framework of CPEC, we will face a very big problem, is that when we produce a product in the SEZ or around Pakistan, how could we sell out? We can sell it as a local market. You can send it back to China. But I think what's most important, we have to sell this kind of product all around the country besides China and Pakistan. So that at that stage, I think there need to be more coordination between the two countries. We utilize the different channels. For example, China maybe take its advantage to help Pakistan expand the market in Southeast Asia, while in Middle East, Pakistan help China.
Yes.
Thank you for watching the Belt and Road Face to Face, and thank you too for coming to our show today. See you next time.